As parents of dancers, I know the importance of wanting to know the skills your child is learning in the class and how the class is being ran. I'm going to inform you on how I like to run my classes and what your child is doing in the class, even though you can't be in there with them physically. I've been teaching for about 4 years now, so I've had plenty of experience teaching classes, watching other teachers who have had multiple years of teaching also run their classes. So I've gotten to get in the hang of how I like to run my class, the things that I feel are important that we should do in there, different techniques and skills your child should learn, and also the importance of warming up, stretching, and also learning the techniques. So the first thing that we usually do in class is warm up. We usually start by doing jumping jacks. I may have them jog around the room, anything that really gets their heart rate up, their blood pumping, so it gets their muscles warming up. We do high knees, we do butt kickers across the room. We also do push-ups, which is overall good for strengthening your entire body, especially for acro class in particular. So we do that, we hold planks, and we do partnered sit-ups to strengthen their core, which is good for all classes, but especially for acro. So once we take the time to usually warm up and do these different skills, once I feel that they're warmed up, their muscles are warm to where we can actually move to stretching, they're not going to tear any of their muscles or injure themselves, we go to stretching. We do a series of stretches, usually touching our hands to our toes, which stretches the entire backs of the legs. And we keep our ankles together first. We also move to where their feet are apart, and they're stretching each leg to get each leg individually, the backs of the legs, the hamstrings. We sit on the floor and put our feet in butterfly, which stretches the backs of the legs around the inner thighs and also the backs of them. We stretch forward, we arch back, and do different things in that. We also stretch our legs straight out in front, which is stretching the hamstrings as well. So we do multiple stretches for each set of muscles just to make sure that we're really getting stretched before we start to do different skills and techniques. When we open up into our straddle, you get the sides stretched as well as the inner part of the legs, and we stretch forward, which is stretching the legs as well. The big thing that we like to focus on is splits. So there's different variations we can do with that. You can do them sitting on the floor, walking your hands out past your front foot, putting your arms up, and then in acro class we usually arch back to get the back more flexible. We do this on the right leg and the left leg. Sometimes to make it harder, if we want to spend extra time stretching, we can put one leg lifted on one mat or do a split across two mats. We also implement chairs, and we can also use the ballet bar to do some extensions with that and help stretch the different, whether it's front, side, or back extensions. That helps as well. So after we're usually done doing that, in acro class, we'd stretch the back out. So you'd start with back bends at first. Once the back's warmed up, then we can move to doing different techniques across the floor and learning different skills. So for basic acro classes, we would start with crab walks, which is walking in a back bend, as I'm sure you all know that. So we can go from crab walks to front overs to front walkovers and back walkovers, and as each level of acro progresses, we progress with these different tricks as well. So in beginner classes, we'd focus more on just strengthening and getting them to be able to do these skills by themselves, and then in the older, more advanced classes, we try to make them more complicated by adding different things into it. So we focus on chin stance and elbow stance, and also implement tumbling into this as well. So once we take some time going across the floor for the first couple weeks doing different things, as each week goes on, try to put more difficult things into it and make it more difficult so that they're constantly learning regardless of what level they're at. If there are different children in the class that are at different levels, they're each still getting the most out of the class as they can. So at some point when they move on to the more advanced class or the most advanced class, they're able to use all these skills that they've learned over all this time, depending on exactly what we're doing and what we're focusing on, to make sure that they got the most out of the class as they can. So that's basically what we would do in a class. So we'd focus on first warming up and stretching, and then all of the different skills and techniques that make up that class, which in this case I was just discussing acro, but it can be different for a jazz class, ballet class, contemporary class. Every class is different and each require different skills and techniques needed for that class.